All right. Well, welcome back to the Scrabble Go stream. If you were with us for the Scrabble Players Championship, you're probably familiar with this format and this playing room. Today, we will be bringing you the Last Chance Qualifier, an 8-game, one-day tournament for players who are yet to qualify for Worlds for one day or one reason or another. There are 28 players in the field for this tournament, and the top 20% of finishers, so the top 6, will make it into the World Championship tomorrow. The others will have to play in a side event. Round 1, we will be bringing you Terry Kang versus Opeyemi Oloro. And today I am joined by Chris Lipe, who's played in some of these tournaments himself. Chris, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing great. Just arrived in Las Vegas and, excited for the event.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to have you on stream with me. So we'll be doing our casting here. Opeyemi to go first, LMRTUWX, and very quickly and confidently playing Mux here. You agree with that play, Chris?
Yeah, the U and the W are the difficulties here, and there's not any way to play them both. And you want to get the X down, get the points, and move on with your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. No way to undouble both the U and the W, but muck's a good way to clear up some of the muck on this rack. And we'll switch over to Terry, who's drawn some muck of her own, ACEEGIO, and she's got to be looking to unload some of these vowels. What do you see here, Chris?
Well, yeah, she has agio lined up, which will underlap all the letters in mucks, and that's kind of the sort of thing that you want to do. If you get the points for the X, get the points for the M, and just score as much as you can while dumping vowels. Cage will score a little bit more as she had lined up on her rack, but it leaves you with 3 vowels versus 2 vowels and a consonant, and we call it equity value. The value of what you leave behind on your rack is a major consideration in each of these plays, and the value of CEE is going to be much better than EIO, I would guess.
For sure, yeah, CEE significantly better than a junky 3 vowel leave. Perhaps one other option is the Neat 5 COGIE, which also plays underneath, but Terry's stabilizing the rack, holding on to that C, and she'll need a good draw here, but hopefully she gets out of that vowel treble. So we pass back to Opeyemi, AHILRTW, and again, very quickly making his play, but this looks like a sort of no-brainer option. Wrath, doubling or tripling the W and the H, 40 points. I don't think there's much else to think about. I think that's a solid play by Opeyemi.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Put the high point tile on the colored square. In this case, 2 of them on 2 colored squares. And yeah, it scores so well. There's not really much else to think about.
Yeah, I agree. And Terry now drawing into a bingo edifice, and she has found it already. Very quick anagramming by her. She's got a number of places to play bingos here. Edifice and OWE will score 82. Edifice and MAE will score 78. And she also has an 8 through the T in Wrath that scores fairly well. But Edifice for 82 right here, the highest scoring bingo. And I'll spoil it in 3 seconds, so pause this video if you want to anagram through that T. But the 8 would be feticide, FETICIDE. But Edifice coming down for 82, and she'll jump ahead 107 to 64 as Opeyemi drawing some garbage tiles has to respond.
Yeah, and of all those choices, I think Edifice, where Terry played it, is the best one. All the others put in E and a between 2 triple word scores, which that's a really defensive placement as well as a high scoring play.
Yeah, for sure. Opeyemi with no high scoring options here, but perhaps a play of FILL and EL coming down underneath Edifice. That's 26 points. IRU is not a great leave, and he'll find a way to keep a better leave here with Fluier, FLUIER. I think this is probably the best option for here, a very solid one. What do you think, Chris?
So yeah, it gives up 8 points, I think, to play Fluier versus something like Phil, but a better leave, and it's going to restrict Terry's chances for scoring on the triple, like putting an F there. Any 4-letter word is going to be 20-something, at least, or 30-something, whereas here, like a 4-letter word going to the L using that triple, unless Terry has a Z or something of her own to put there, it's not really going to score that much. So that's not a big concern. So yeah, it has a defensive value as well as having equity value of the stronger leave.
Yeah, a little bit of everything there for Opeyemi. I like that play. And it looks like Terry looking at that triple word square that's been exposed, setting up WEAL, I believe. I think that's what she's looking at here. She has one outstanding option. It's tough to spot, but through the T in Wrath, Wagtail, WAGTAIL, is 34 points, significantly more points than the rest of her options. But in the absence of noticing that play, I think probably a play to the L and Fluier, like Whale or Wheel, to come down. Anything else jumping out to you, Chris?
Yeah, the playing to that L and playing off the W and something to that L is the first thing you think of in this position. So yeah, Wheel or Whale or something like that. Wagtail would be a wonderful play, but difficult to find. Compound words are always tricky. Yeah, those are pretty much the same. The big options here. Something like wage making FE is a possibility, but yeah, or then there's nothing really down from the I in the H column in the middle of the board. So it's without any N's on the board or N's in hand, the G becomes an awkward letter. So yeah, I think that's Terry's motivation to play wage versus something like whale or wheel, is just keeping the G in the leave can be a drag when there's not really an N to go with it. So yeah, that's a reasonable play from Terry for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Always want to get rid of G's if you can. They're terrible, Kyle. And Opeyemi, we've been warned by chat, plays his games very quickly, and nothing to think about on that turn. When you got the Q and you can plunk it for 31, you usually just do that. As Terry drawing very nicely into her AIL leave, DOST, to go with that. Not quite going to bingo here, but she's going to be able to keep a very balanced leave next turn and score some points in the process. She's got just OD alongside wage, forming OW and DA for 19 points, holding AILST with the big S hook, hooking rats, still available to her. Do you expect to see Terry do something like that, or maybe try to score a little bit better with the play like OLID, overlapping wage 4 times, or Idola down from the I in Edifice?
Yeah, all these things are interesting options. Another one that I might consider in this position is something like Dato, starting at the very top of the board, making OW. If you're going to keep a strong leave, then you want to open up opportunities for your leave to do good things the next turn. I don't know that I'd necessarily do that, but that's something certainly a consideration worth making. It's like when you're playing poker. If you have a good hand, you put more chips in the middle of the table, right? It's similar in terms of board position here. When you have strong stuff, you want to make plays that make your stuff stronger and give you more opportunities. And when you have bad stuff, you want to make plays that give fewer opportunities to do things because you think your opponent has better tiles than you do. So that's certainly another kind of tactical consideration to take in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of options on this turn for Terry, very similar to one another in terms of valuation or equity. So really kind of a philosophical decision. How long do I want to play? How open versus how closed do I want this board to be? She can also fish off the OD in ways that are more conducive towards bingoing next turn. OLD through the L and Fluier, making waged, would set up both her T and her S next turn, but foregoes a few points. OD on top of Mux could kind of obstruct this board a little bit. And I also wouldn't be surprised if, maybe afraid of her opponent having an S, she pounces on top of the rat spot right now with a play like Stolid, STOLID, for 36. Lots to think about here, and it's difficult to say which of these is the best, as so much of it depends on what you're going to draw out of that bag.
Yeah, caching the S here is actually a really reasonable thing to do. Right, the tricky thing with Terry's rack is she doesn't have an E, so her leave isn't going to have an E. She's, if she draws an E, then great, but if she doesn't draw an E, then it's going to be difficult to hit a bingo. So caching this for 36 and then just sort of moving on to what comes next, that's also a really interesting, reasonable thing to do.
And she has spotted that play here. I do think with the inference, perhaps after Opeyemi's last play, less likely than normal to have an S, as if he has an I to go with that Q, QIS makes a lot more sense in that spot, scoring nearly 50 points than just dropping it for 31. So with the knowledge that I think my opponent probably doesn't have an S, I'd be inclined here as Terry to hold on to mine. You can see she's spending a good amount of time on this turn. It's a very difficult turn, and I would do the same. I think long and hard, as this is going to be a pivotal moment for me in the game.
Yeah, definitely. This is interesting in that there's a lot of plays that are extremely different. A lot of times your candidate plays, there'll be one hotspot and one good tile, and you just figure out, okay, which 4 or 5 letter word goes in that place to put the right tile on the colored square. And right here, all the choices are all completely different. Different. Do you play short? Do you play long out of this rack? Do you score a lot of points? Do you give up points for board position? A lot of complicated things to take into consideration here.
Yeah, and always difficult to play on stream as well. You've got hundreds or thousands of people watching live, thousands more are going to go back and watch these games after the fact. So you want to take your time and really make sure you don't miss a high probability bingo out of a juicy rack like this. We, with our anagrammers at home, know that there's not a playable bingo, but that's another thing Terry has to think about here. Is there a bingo? And if not, what is my best play? Lots and lots to think about here. For the chat, for people watching later, I'll give you a little puzzle. There is a bingo using that H in Wrath, just doesn't quite fit given the letters she had. I'll let y'all think about that one. As Terry does elect to play off the S, scoring about as much as she possibly could on this turn, 36 points for Stolid, and that's going to put her ahead at 164 to 115 as Opeyemi fighting through vowels yet again, likely to respond with a low scoring play.
Yeah, and that's a good choice by Terry. Her best other play was like 26, and Stolid scored 36. 10 points for the S is a decent value for the S. So.
Yeah, Opeyemi here. Owlier comes down very quickly. Super cool option, Loerie, played just to the right of Wage. That was 28 points, so perhaps a miss. And in this situation, I feel like I'd prefer a play like just Owie, Owie, holding EILR, or if I want to score more points, perhaps Owrie, Owrie. But playing off both of those consonants may backfire on Opeyemi. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. There were some other options that did better things. Owlier is not a terrible play by any means, but yeah, maybe some things with better leaves were available.
Terry, after her play of 6 tiles, getting a lot of turnover, does pick up one of the blanks and cashes in the J that she's drawn as well. Jade overlapping for 44, not able to take advantage of the Jowlier front hook to Owlier, but she is able to score 44 here. And on Opeyemi's rack, the other blank has also been pulled. So each player catching a break, catching a blank, and Opeyemi now got to take some time to bingo. He's got 2 words that will play as 7s out of those rack, and he'll have to A, find one of those words, and then B, decide which one he wants to play and where he wants to play it. I'm not spoiling those words just yet, as I know some people like to take their time in anagram, but I'm about to say it. And so pause now if you want to puzzle yourself. Otherwise, Opeyemi's options, Epigene, Epigene, or Epicene, Epicene. Chris, do you expect Opeyemi to find those bingos, or are they perhaps tough out of a rack like this?
They're a bit tough, but they're certainly findable. I would expect him to find those. Looking at his history of WESPA rated tournaments, at least he's carrying a 2000 WESPA rating, so definitely a solid player, good knowledge of words. Epicene and Epigene with that blank in that position are tricky. I certainly would be a candidate to miss them on a bad day, but it's. They're findable for sure.
Yeah, with a 2000 rating, you do expect players to know words like that. They are reasonably high probability bingos, meaning they're pretty common to draw out of a bag. And for those of you rather new to the sport, Players do typically study bingos by probability, meaning they'll look at the stuff that is very likely statistically to be drawn out of a bag. Words like toenail with very nice letters in them, A's and E's and I's and R's and T's. And they study those words and then slowly kind of work their way down to the more and more and more unlikely bingos, the long shots to draw. But epicene and epigene both rather high up there. So you expect a player of Opeyemi's caliber to know these words, though finding them with that blank is a little bit trickier.
Yep, definitely. Definitely. Something interesting to comment on Terry's play of Jade was kind of automatic because it scored so much. But if you look at what it does to the board position, that lower right-hand quadrant is very unfriendly for pretty much anything. So Stolid opened up a lane for an 8-letter word ending in D. Anything ending in ED could go there. Which is a really kind of juicy spot, and that immediately got blocked. But also, like, it's going to be very difficult to make any of that space in that area usable for bingos, right? You can't really play parallel to it to score. You might want to play something ending in AL, and that'll open up lanes for 7-letter words, but that part of the board is getting pretty nasty to use, which is something that Terry wants, being ahead by a bingo score at this point. So it's a good defensive play as well as kind of being the automatic scoring play to cash the J.
Yeah, it does a lot of good things. 9s to the ED still possible, but will be challenging to draw and tougher for these players to get down. Opeyemi does not see his playable bingos, but does a nice job of opening the board with PEEL. And Terry just continues her scoring onslaught, dropping HOVE for 30 points, and she'll get to hold on to a blank. Very likely Terry to draw a bingo this turn, but she will get bingoed on by Opeyemi, likely out of this rack, EEINPR blank. Lots of good choices here, including a 9-letter playable bingo to the ED. I won't spoil that, but I certainly expect to see a bingo from Opeyemi here.
Yeah, and epigene, epicene, difficult finds with the blank, so we can't really put too much blame for missing that. But yeah, this one there's a bunch of good options, and so we'll expect to see a bingo come down here.
Terry quickly seeing Gemotes, the 7-letter GEMOTES on her rack, but Opeyemi finding his 9, Pioneered, is the one playable 9 out of this rack. It's going to score very nicely for him, 86, and allow him to keep this board open as the floating P and E and Peel and the floating H and O and HOV are still available, as well as potentially bingoing to or through the A or T and Wrath.
Yeah, that kind of makes my whole discussion earlier about the defensiveness of Jade, sort of OBE'd. But yeah, Pioneered is a great play, and sometimes you don't think to look at an ED on the board and think about putting a bingo there, right? Sort of the. Right. You have Pioneer lined up on your rack. Sort of the obvious thing is to play like Pioneers through the O and HOVE. So yeah, this is really a really great board vision by Opeyemi in considering that spot and putting it down.
Yeah, a great play. And now Terry has a number of bingos on this turn, but all of them are rather tough to find. None of them particularly common words. So I won't spoil them just yet, but a number of playable bingos. The highest scoring of them scores 82. None of them will extend to the triple word square, though. So Terry's going to take some time and make a pretty tough find with one of these bingos. I'll spoil them very soon, so here is your warning to pause if you don't want them. But the highest scoring option through the E in Peel is Geometer, Geometer. It's going to drop that M on the triple word score 82 points. Another great option is Oogamete, Oogamete, from the O and HOVE for 78. She's also got Geotherm through the H in HOVE for 65. And Somegate, Somegate, or Somegate, I don't know what that word means, but 72 points. So many options, but all of them rather obscure words and tough finds here.
Yeah, and it's fairly common when you see a 7 on your rack, like Jamote's, and it doesn't fit. It's hard to get it out of your head and actually start coming up with other things to do. If you have a rack like that doesn't have any 7s, it's almost a little easier to find 8-letter words in that situation, because you just kind of come back to, okay, here's a 7-letter word. Like, no, it doesn't work. And then you're shuffling for a couple minutes, and then you come back, like, but there's a 7-letter word. Like, no, that doesn't help. And it's easy to get caught in that sort of circular thought pattern and sort of not be able to process your potential 8s, especially if they're complicated 8s like these.
Yeah, tough situation. Definitely a lot of bingos that are tough to spot. Chat giving us a cool definition of somegate. Somegate comes from Scottish, means somewhere, and it is an adverb. So no hooks on that at all, just the 8-letter word.
Yeah, those Scottish words are a lot of fun.
Absolutely, yeah. So Terry, I think in efforts to save some of her clock, I'm not going to take any more time to look for bingos here and leave some points on the table, but EET blank, a great leave for her, and we can expect her likely to bingo next turn. DINRTYZ for Opeyemi's draw, and he has the opportunity now to take the lead with a high-scoring play, and he's going to do just that. Zaidy, Z-A-I-D-Y, 36 points, and holds the nice and balanced NRT with some floating vowels for him next turn. So Terry with a great pull will absolutely bingo from this rack, and Opeyemi has an opportunity to try to bingo back if he pulls the correct tiles. AESSTT blank, a great, nice, balanced rack for Terry, and you've got to be looking to bingo from those the H at the top or from the P down to that triple word with the rack this night.
Yeah, definitely. With so much flexibility, you just look, okay, where's the highest scoring place to put 7 tiles in a row? And definitely you look at the H first. Any 8-letter word beginning or ending in H here would be the goal, if there are any.
Yeah, and there are 3 words from the H, the highest scoring option being headsets for 83. She'll also have 2 other options that slot the blank on the double letter, something you'd like to avoid, but those are hateless and heatless anagrams of one another. So hopefully Terry able to find one of those eventually. But, when I draw racks like this, the first thing is, gosh, I just want to find a bingo and make sure I'm going to get something down. And then maybe you can take your time to find a higher scoring one. But Terry here playing Satyrs, I believe, Saters. Hove taking a sneaky back hook up an A, and an anagram of this word, Satyrs, Saeters, plays 1 spot to the left for slightly more points. But Terry, got to be relieved to cash in that blank. She just fell behind in this game, and now she's going to pull back ahead as Opeyemi finds and draws Bankrupt, and he's going to play this very quickly, yeah?
Yeah, that's a beautiful play.
That is a wonderful find and a fitting word, given that this tournament is happening in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hopefully no players here go bankrupt, but one bad night at the tables and a irresponsible decision or two, and it's definitely in the card for anybody. Have fun, certainly, everybody in Vegas, but be responsible too. All right, so Opeyemi's bingo to put him ahead by 10 now after finding Bankrupt there, and Terry close but no cigar in AELNOOS. Again, kind of looks like you may be able to bingo out of this rack, but just not many lanes. The H and the O not conducive to helping these tiles out, and Terry's going to have to decide: do I just play off these O's somewhere, or do I try to score more points? If you get caught up fishing, you may not score enough to outrun in this game. So do you try to bingo again to win this game, or do you just grab as many points as you can? She'll have some nice scoring options. Aloo, A-L-O-O, jumping out alongside Bankrupt with 4 overlaps is 26 points and holds a nice balanced ENS. But there are also opportunities to drop the 2 O's, O-O-T, from or down to the T in Rats, making Z-O, or the sneaky T-O-O, making I-O and Dojo are options as well. But Terry dropping the 2 O's, she's going to do so up here alongside Bankrupt. netting only 10 points, but keeping this board maybe a little bit more open and stopping high scoring overlaps that Opeyemi could have.
Yeah, and Terry had the 7-letter soon on a rack, but there was no place for 7-letter words to fit on this board at this point, which is somewhat annoying. That's the only lanes available are for 8s. So yeah, and Terry has another 7-letter word. So but need to find 8s at this point.
Yeah, 7s are not going to fit on this board likely for the rest of the game, so it's got to be an 8 to get back in, and those are tougher to find. You've got a lot more options, many different letters to think about. Terry will have an 8 with an H out of this rack, but it doesn't fit. The 8 would end in an H. It is clean-ish, and so she'll have to take more time and see if there's anything else available to her. I had to run the report because I'm not quick enough to find these bingos. And Terry, despite how balanced and friendly her rack looks, will not have any playable bingos again this turn. And it's getting crunch time for Terry. We only have 3 tiles left in the bag for her. We'll get the unseen pool up. And Terry needs to decide, do I get very aggressive, try to bingo right now, or do I just try to start scoring points and seeing if I can win this game by outrunning? With 3 tiles in the bag, Terry is looking to go out before her opponent in a close game, but it's tough to guarantee a way to do that. This is a tough position for Terry, and I think after getting hit with Bankrupt, her odds of winning slipped away very quickly. What are you seeing for Terry to do here in the absence of bingos?
So yeah, she's down by 24 with 3 tiles in the bag. That is, it may not seem it, but that's almost at the point where you absolutely have to bingo to win. 24 points is a lot to make up, given that your opponent's going to be making plays, and to make up that deficit basically by going out first, you either need to catch your opponent with some heavy stuff or have like a really big play at the end. Your opponent is going to have 2 more turns in this game, so it's difficult. It's probably a situation where she wants to play 2 tiles, leave 1 in the bag, make Opeyemi solve a 1 in the bag end game to figure out, what to do. There's still several bingo lanes. There's the H and the O in Hoves. There's actually the E and Peel might give you something. If you have, something EA, whatever, actually Geometer that came up earlier still fits in that place next to Bankrupt. And then there's, still a bit of the V in Hoves actually will go if you can hook above RE. So there's still some lanes available for bingos. So I'd probably look to play off 2 tiles here, score what you can, but the score's not that important because you're going to be within a bingo pretty much no matter what your opponent does. So if it's a small fish, 2-tile fish, that's still reasonable. You can make sure you keep the E, obviously keep the S, keep the I. There are no I's in the pool. So you'll probably want to fish off like AL or something like that, or AC if there's a place to put those.
Yeah, just with an abundance of high-scoring options for Opeyemi too, I feel like we're in a situation for Terry where she needs to bingo to win this game. Just looking at the unseen pool, there are many good high-scoring options. Buoy really standing out to me above Cedars, BUOY, a great way to clean out a rack and score 37 points. But lots of other options, plays like Brosy, BROSY, or Boozy, BOUSY, through the S in Cedars, Botany, Bounty, or Barony from the B in Bankrupt. There are just so many scoring options for Opeyemi that I don't think I'm going to be able to outrun him. I think I need to find a bingo here, and I need to draw one very soon.
Yeah, and if you're sitting in Terry's position, you think it's a close game, right? It's only 24 points, and if it were, 3 turns in, it would be a close game. But with 3 tiles in the bag, it's actually not a close game, just because there's so few opportunities to make that up. If you look, throughout the course of a game, you and your opponent are scoring roughly the same amount of points every turn. The amount of times when you score and your opponent's score for the same turn differ by more than 24 is probably after you've bingoed, and that's it. So, catching up a deficit quickly actually requires a bingo, and you don't really have that mindset when it's such a close game by looking at the numbers of the score. But Yeah, and especially with the Y unseen and all these different possibilities that you mentioned. Yeah, you have to kind of, basically just play two, draw a bingo out, balloons fall from the ceiling, and you're great.
Yeah, and so Terry hoping to make the balloons fall from the ceiling. One concern I would have from her is there are only 3 vowels to be drawn, so holding on to my vowels seems extra important, and perhaps some inference to be made. After Opeyemi plays NAN, that to me implies he's likely holding on to another A and or another N, and maybe not some of those higher scoring consonants like the V, the B, or the Y. So I'm extra worried about drawing those. It looks like she might be trying Alnicos here. Alnico is a 6, and it can be pluralized with an S, and it's very tough to remember which of those words pluralize just with an S, with an ES, or with both. So Opeyemi, I'm sure, will declare hold here. Terry has not drawn her tiles, and 5-point challenge being played at this tournament. This is a play that likely loses him the game if it stays on the board. So I expect him to challenge, and here it is. And we know this word is going to come back off. But I think a good thought by Terry, you're very low percentage to win this game, so give this a shot. And Opeyemi, though, going to challenge it, and it's going to come back off the board.
Yeah, and if I recall, I think this spelling of Elnikos was deleted about 10 years ago. So, hey,
Wow.
it's possible that, maybe he did study it long ago and then it came out. So it's a reasonable shot. The actual 2-tile fish is a long shot. The pool isn't that great. She could very easily have drawn UY and then you're done. So, yeah. Can't falter for trying, for sure.
It is very seldom that words are removed from the lexicon. Typically, once a word is in the dictionary, it stays in the dictionary. So perhaps Terry has seen that word before. She's been playing for a long time, at a high level for a long time. But yeah, very, very unusual that a word has been removed, although that is one of them. And Terry, to lose her turn, will likely lose this game as well. If I'm Opeyemi, I know her rack. I go through every possible option, trying to see, can she bingo through an H, through an O, through that T? Do I need to block anything? And after enough time, I will realize, no, I don't have to block anything. I'm just going to empty the bag before she gets a chance to fish again here.
Yeah, so definitely Opeyemi wants to not give Terry an opportunity to fish. He knows that Terry has no playable bingos, so there's no risk to emptying the bag. So just make a play that scores a bunch of points, empty that's at least 3 tiles, empty the bag, and then take it home.
Yeah, and a play like VAUTE kind of checks every box you want to do. I'd like to empty the bag here because I have perfect knowledge of my opponent's rack, and if I'm not quite sure of these alphagrams or what possibilities she may have, I'm mostly looking to block the T, the R, the H, and the O. VAUTE is going to block all of those, and I just have to worry about potential 9s that she may be able to have after that play. But I think that's an easy game-winning play for Opeyemi. Anything I think that empties the bag here and doesn't allow Terry to bingo will do that.
So I just did a quick search, and apparently Elnikos with the ES was valid in the first OWL and was deleted in 2006.
Wow. Okay. That's tough.
Yeah, and I mean Terry has been playing that long, so even if it's worth a shot, because certainly it's in the back of your mind forever. Deleting words is really difficult. Because a lot of times you're sitting there and you're like, I think I've seen this before, and you put it down and then see what happens.
Yeah, it's especially unfortunate, those words that do get removed end up being put in print more, and your eyes are more exposed to them. And, I've heard learning words and retaining words similar to trying to pour water into a styrofoam cup with a hole in the bottom. And the more you see a word, the more, you start to recognize it, and then you spot it. Or perhaps Terry knew it was invalid, but maybe thought she could sneak it by her opponent as well. Though Terry, first tournament in 2001, there's a good chance, the high probability that rack has, that she's seen that word before. It's tough.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Well, yeah, Opeyemi taking his time, I think, for about the first turn we've seen this tournament, but that, very rightfully doing so. This play wins or loses the game, depending on if you give a bingo up or if you block everything. Of course, us at home, we are confident that there are no playable bingos because we are running this position through a computer, but he's got to go through all these options in his head: ACEILNS plus an H plus an O from a T. Try to remember every one of those racks and make sure that there aren't any things that he needs to be blocking here. Me, it's really tough to pull the trigger on those, and sometimes you feel so bad if you do mess up and miss one of those options. I'm looking to address lines anyway here.
Yeah, sitting here looking at a computer, this looks like an easy end game because we know that there's basically not much way for Opeyemi to mess this up, right? But sitting there with the clock ticking, and suddenly you know what your opponent has, and you know what letters are in the bag, and all these extra data points come at you. If you've played fast enough to have the 12 minutes on your clock to think about it, then hey, that's the time that you've paid for, and you can sit there and think on it for as long as you need. That's what the time's there for.
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead and use it. You've got 25 minutes for a reason. So this will be the first game. Again, this tournament, 8 rounds. We'll cover action from all 8 of them across. But Terry can't be excited to start this tournament with a loss, and Opeyemi got to be happy to start with the win. Chris, what kind of record do you think it's going to take as the top 6 players in this 26 or 28 player field will make it to World? Do you think 6-2 guarantees you a spot, or do you think you're going to have to go 7-1 perhaps?
6-2 should get you in. Yeah, 6-2 should be good. It's possible that a 6-2 with bad spread might not, but 6 should take you there.
Yeah, 6-2 then the goal for these players, or better. Of course, you just want to win every game you play, but this is a very solid field. Again, Chris mentioned Opeyemi's international rating is over 2,000. So, it's tough. And Terry, no slouch herself, she's 1,700, 1,750. So lots of talent in this field, and it's going to be tough to go 6-2. It's a tall task for anybody. We have the player who just won the NWL division of the Scrabble Players Championship ending 2 days ago, Josh Sokol, also vying for a spot. His NWL rating over 2,100, and he plays a good amount of CSW as well. He recently won a very strong field at a Niagara Falls tournament. So Josh and Opeyemi and a number of other very strong players, anybody's going to have a hard time going 6-2 or better against a field like this.
Yeah, Josh is a pretty strong favorite to make it through, but it's only 8 games, and anything can happen in 8 games.
For sure. Chris, have you played in one of these events before yourself?
No, I haven't played in a Last Chance Qualifier before. I've been qualified through the last few Worlds that I've attended, so haven't needed to do the Last Chance thing. But it was introduced in Prague in 2013. And was wildly popular. Like, it was a really interesting event. There were players that you wouldn't expect rising to the top. Sami Okasaga famously qualified through the Last Chance Qualifier and then made the finals of the main event. And yeah, like it was really popular when it was introduced there. Everybody really, enjoyed having that extra excitement and that extra, chance to grab at the brass ring. So it's something that we've added to the WESPA Championship as we've started putting those on as WESPA. The Prague World Championship was sponsored by Mattel, put on by Mind Sports International, and we adopted that innovation for the WESPA Championship when WESPA started putting those on.
Yeah, definitely a cool twist to an already very prestigious tournament. And the players who do not make it out of this last chance qualifier, that doesn't mean they're not going to get to have a good time. A, they're still in Las Vegas, and B, they'll have a side event, a 24-game tournament, if I read correctly, that they get to play in as well. So Scrabble for everybody, but who gets to contend for that title? That's being determined here.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a lot of Scrabble for everyone this whole weekend and into next week. And yeah, the side event is going to have a lot of really good players in it. Like, you look at who's playing in this last chance qualifier, and you think of how many are not going to make it to the field for the World Championship. Like, that side event is not going to be easy either. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Our goal with this event, obviously, to show games that will have stakes to get towards nationals. But for these first few rounds, we're going to try to diversify the matchups as much as we can, showcase players from around the world of different ratings, from different countries, and really just try to see as many different players as we can. As the players who don't make it out of this event won't be further shown. We'll only do coverage of the main Worlds event.
So yeah, it's everybody block off your calendar for the next several days, because it's going to be full days of Scrabble right here on Twitch.
Yeah. Chris Lipe obviously will not be joining us for the main event as he'll be playing with it, but I'm thankful that he was able to take the time today after a long day of travel and flying to give us some commentary as well. And for those of you unfamiliar with me just now tuning in, I'm Matt Canik. I will be here all day, every day for both the last chance qualifier and the World Championship, which runs Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and we'll have the finals on Wednesday. So book off your calendar. We'll have a lot of Scrabble action from 9 a.m. to about 7 p.m. on each of the next 4 days. That'll be 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Las Vegas time, as well as the finals, which I believe start about 9 or 10 on the Wednesday. Lots of Scrabble action for y'all coming up ahead.
Yep. So yeah, they've played out. This one is finished.
Yeah, a solid game by both players. Opeyemi finding bankrupt, I think, was the key to winning this game. And Terry maybe missing an opportunity. She had a rack full of tough bingo tiles, geometer, Oagami, very tough to spot. But yeah, a good, tight game. And Opeyemi going to end up holding on to win by 30, jumping up to 1-0 in this last chance qualifier. With that, we're going to step away for just a moment as we wait for next round's pairings, try to choose a matchup for y'all. And we will be back in just a few short moments with more Scrabble. Y'all in chat, don't go anywhere. We will be back very soon.